Transitions through time have made hearts harder, darker, frail. One may never know when circumstances are unbeknown to he whose heart has not budged toward a sense of compassion. He wants to share, but doesn't know how. He is broken. He is a man who never was in combat, but felt like an army of one as a whole and not part of a unit. He may never know when the soul next to him on a train is one who has a damaged heart. They may never understand that the pain they share is similar. Areas can be congested sometimes. It is the type of congestion he may only wish upon noses, caring about the man's information without giving a flying fuck about the man. Some hear screams in the middle of an otherwise tranquil night. Sometimes they are screams only he senses, a lost relative, a lost friend, or a way back to security when a blanket is replaced by a gun. And he may never know if it will ever be used, or know the purpose of even owning one. He may never know if a bullet can replace a damaged valve and potentially attach itself to a self-fulfilling prophecy. Sometimes bloodlines need transfusions, a sign that he is not alone. A potential to let go of grief. A desire to cry on a shoulder that is not attached to a highway. Sometimes stories are morose. Sometimes stories are a morass. And one may never give a damn about a temporary glance. A light needs to be borrowed whether it burns a cigarette or brightens an outlook. He may never quit his addictions. He may never abandon the habits until the day he dies. He may never realize he metaphorically died years ago. Some may never know if the person next to him attends mass and needs more than a handshake. A superficial gesture to one who would never think to share his true nature when clammy skin encases mammoths of mediocrity. The desire for happiness in his world, in some senses, is a dream in which cracks are inflicted on the pipe, rather than through the esophagus. Like the pipe, he is fragile. He is a loner who hates being alone. But truth be told, some streets need attention. Some avenues of conversation are valued more than gold. Some boulevards are difficult to maneuver, and sometimes a fender feels like a fist. He has hesitated to reach out under the guise of never knowing the sense of sadness he might convey. He fears his heart may get arrested, as sometimes we face a crime when the heart is neglected, and sometimes the crime is punishable by death. It is when the heart stays open without needing a scalpel. The exact same pain threshold is exceeded, and morphine through veins is the only fix. I may never know. You may never know. He may never know. She may never know. It may never know. We may never know. They may never know. Who the fuck knows? Knowing why is half the battle. Knowing how a broken man can heal is different. He can be fixed, but the cracks in his soul are still visible. They will always remain, and in this respect, he is not alone. Because lonely people need to find one another, and perhaps they too experience excruciating anathemas, and perhaps one of them is the person sitting next to him, and perhaps the entire fucking population of a given train is like blood scattering within a cardiac membrane, and the line between the aorta and the jugular has been derailed, only to realize sooner rather than later the feeling of loneliness is sometimes something we will always know. For when the world eventually ends, the documentation of loneliness will outlive the roaches.